Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 19. Chapter 1. The First Battle. First crisis over. It was Feldway's words that changed the stalemated situation of the battle. It's about time to move on. It appears that further battles are meaningless. When I heard that, I thought to myself, I should have made my decision sooner. If I could corner him here, that would be the best. But unfortunately, I felt that we were at a disadvantage. If we continued fighting like this, I was pretty sure that we would get support, but to be perfectly honest, I wasn't certain. Ranga and the others wouldn't lose, but I couldn't deny the possibility that we were being too optimistic. There was a hint of danger in the castle, so I was worried that they might be struggling. Basically, I only wanted to fight battles that I could definitely win. But this time, I had not been prepared enough. I didn't anticipate that even the communications would be cut off, and I had come to the battlefield without properly analyzing the enemy's strength. I had a few expectations because of Dino's report, but when we actually fought, I found that the enemy forces were much stronger than expected. For Jahal to overwhelm Benimaru as he did was a foul play. I had been expecting Benimaru to quickly defeat the enemy as usual. And yet, the situation had been so unbelievable that it was even a wonder that he hadn't been defeated. So, if he was going to retreat here, I had no intention of stopping him. But I would not forget to fan the flames as well. Whoa, you're not thinking of running away now, are you? Sylvia-san, who was dealing with Leon, turned her attention away from him when she heard that. She was glaring at me, as if to tell me to mind my own business. Unlike El-tan, she wasn't proficient in conversational implicature. For this kind of thing, the one who hides their true intentions is the winner. In times of distress, the rule is to deceive your opponent by saying the opposite. I've accomplished my goal of bringing Leon, the owner of the Purity King Metatron, into the fold, and I've also identified and eliminated the traitor in my way. On top of that, I was able to determine the extent of your abilities. It's a good result overall. As expected, he didn't take this kind of gossip lying down. But that was the main purpose, wasn't it? By saying something pitiful, the other party will feel good about retreating. For me, it would be more annoying to hear them say something like, yeah, I quit. So, while thinking go home, hurry up and go home, on the inside, I continued to urge Feldway on. So, you scared, huh? Well, my people will be coming for you soon. Once they do, we'll win, so I can understand why you'd want to run. While saying that, I launched a fierce attack. Perhaps my words had upset him a little, but Feldway's sword slowed for a moment. I felt my sword graze his body, but Feldway was unharmed. Was I mistaken? No, I feel like I had grazed him a few times before. As Moore's master, you sure are a cocky little bastard. The next time I see you, I'll crush you with a desperate, fighting power, so be prepared. That's my line. Since you seem to have such an issue with Diablo, I'll let him deal with you next time. When I spat out a line, sounding as if I came straight out of some crappy manga, Feldway looked mortified. I didn't miss the look of disgust on his face. This was the secret technique, leave it to someone else. However, it worked so well this time, that I was planning to force it on Diablo, even if he didn't like it. Well, reading the atmosphere and observing other people's reactions are essential skills for working people. If you watch people carefully, you will eventually learn what makes them happy, and what makes them uncomfortable. On top of that experience, I had previously worked for over 10 years in the construction industry, where socializing was very important, and I was very good at harassing people like this. It was obvious from Feldway's behavior that he had a problem with Diablo. I thought that I might be mistaken, but I was relieved to see that I was correct. You really are a jerk, you bastard. I am honored by your praise. Damn it, you really are getting carried away. Jahal, Leon, we're leaving. Feldway escaped from the argument with me and announced his retreat. A victory in spirit, that was a joke, but this was, in fact, a tactical victory. Wouldn't it be better to settle this here? Ah, it's a command from Michael-sama. Well, that's fine. I owe you a debt of gratitude. My body doesn't seem to be in the best of shape, so I'll just do as I'm told. Jahal had overwhelmed Benimaru, but he grudgingly agreed. To be perfectly honest, I thought it would be troublesome if he had insisted on continuing, so I felt relieved. Or at least I did. Benamir then started to agitate Jahal. Ha, are you running away? I almost had the chance to win, but it was my inexperience that stopped me from finishing you off. I'll win next time though, you can be sure of that. I wondered what in the world he was doing, but I couldn't complain, since I was the one who started this in the first place. What the hell is wrong with you guys? That's what Sylvia San's painful glare seemed to say. I could understand that feeling. From a third person's point of view, I would have thought that we were idiots too. You don't know your place in the world, you worm. If you continue to taunt me, the great magician, then Jahal, that's the slime's right-hand man. If you lose your composure, then you'll lose a battle you should be able to win. Thank you for that misunderstanding. I think he misunderstood by a spoonful or two, but if he took things that way, I was happy. For the very first time, I felt that Feldway might be a decent guy. It was probably due to my usual demeanor, but I think I was successful in making him more cautious than necessary. That's true. I'll allow this bastard to save face this time. There wouldn't be a next time, you brats. Jahal seemed short-tempered, but he was surprisingly thoughtful. He had been all ready to go on another rampage, but he followed Feldway's lead. And Leon, being manipulated as he was, did not argue. Having reached a consensus, the three of them flew away from the broken ceiling and into the sky. After seeing them off, Benamir and I sat down on the spot, our strength gone. I personally thought that it was better to be aggressive in a fight, but this time I had gone too far. I would have to be more careful next time, or it might have the opposite effect. Just as I was thinking about this, Benamir turned to me, exhausted and complaining. Remur-sama, it was too dangerous to stir things up in that situation. It was full of pent-up emotions that should have been said earlier. You have no right to say that. We were just about to settle things, but then you go to Jahal, and I was left wondering what was going on. No, I was just following Remur-sama's lead. If my lord is not ready to retreat, then I cannot pull the plug, myself. Besides, well, I'd feel like I lost if I didn't do so. When I saw Benamir's nice smile, I felt like I was seeing his real intention. Then I noticed Sylvia San staring at us with a dumbfounded expression, but Benamir and I just acted as if nothing had happened. Vega, who escaped from Ranga, did not think that he had lost. Vega's fault was that he never reflected on himself, but his positive attitude was still something to learn from. Vega arrived at the battlefield, where Kumar and Ori were fighting. He hid his presence and observed the situation. The conclusion of the battle came quickly. Ori had been fatally damaged by Kumar's tail barrage. Fortunately for Vega, she was blown to the vicinity of where he was hiding. How lucky. It's as if the heavens are telling me to eat this thing. Vega thought selfishly. He had no sense of camaraderie, so there was no honorable moral that urged him to help others. This was especially true if the person in need was worthless. Vega licked his lips and crept closer to Ori. Hey, you look good. V. Vega. Thank goodness, that person is stronger than I expected. Looks like it. But don't worry. I'll take care of the rest and avenge you. Ori wondered if Vega had a soft side, but she was mistaken, and was forced to realize it by the intense pain she felt immediately afterwards. Vega's gentle touch burned Oria's skin. He then began to erode and eat Oria. Well, what are you? I'll eat your soul, so give me that skill of yours too. That right, with that, I'll be able to take out those small, fry bastards easily. No way, Michael-sama will never forgive you. Shut up. This is a world of survival of the fittest, right? I'm sure that Michael bastard would be more than happy to see me get stronger. Vega shouted as such, laughing vulgarly. He then accelerated the erosion, without showing any mercy to the suffering Oria. It eventually reached her neck as he ate Oria to death with a sickening crunch. Just what you'd expect from the work of a brute, how very ugly. To me, that's a compliment. In fact, even if eating Oria and her comrades was considered an atrocious act of cruelty to others, for Vega, it was merely natural means to sustain his life. He followed his instincts, and utilized the ultimate skill evil, Dragon King Ozzy Dahaka. As a result, Oria was completely decomposed by organic domination, and became Vega's flesh and blood. Wonderful, how wonderful. This power, I can feel myself getting stronger and stronger. Vega was ecstatic, and tested out the power he had inherited from Oria. The mythical grade armor covering his entire body, which had been recreated by metal manipulation of the blue dragon spear he had taken in, glowed in the color of blood. Even his hands, feet, elbows, and knees were armed like the fangs and claws of a beast. It was at this moment that Vega's imagined form evolved into something even more hideous. Kumar, who had witnessed such a Vega, was highly alert from the start. The reason why she had thrown Oria out of the fight without finishing her off was because she had lost control when she sensed his persistent gaze. To a certain extent, Vega's evil presence could not be concealed. As a result, Oreo was dead, but Vega had been strengthened. He seemed to have been wounded when he first came here, so this could be considered a complete failure on Kumara's part. I failed, haven't I? What matters is not the quantity, but rather the quality of enemies. I cannot face Rimuru-sama if I allow the enemy to grow stronger. Inwardly breaking out in a cold sweat, Kumara thought about how to recover. Having been defeated by Carrion and then free, Kumara was not overconfident in her own abilities. It would have been best if she could have killed Vega here and now, but she knew that it was beyond her control. When one meets a strong opponent, it is necessary to assess their strength. If they failed to do so, the only thing that awaited them was defeat. In other words, death. Kumara sincerely understood that this was unacceptable. Now that she had been taken out of the deathless labyrinth, she could not make the mistake of getting herself killed. For that reason, although she felt ashamed for allowing Vega to grow stronger, she was able to avoid being dragged into a situation where she might have caused an even bigger mistake. One single decision could make all the difference. If Kumara had lost her temper and attacked Vega, she would have been beaten back and predation would have been the result. However, Kumara's decision to wait and see allowed a third party to intervene in the situation. We have been ordered to withdraw. Vega, the battle is over. A figure suddenly appeared on the scene and stopped Vega, who had been ready to attack. That person was Mai Furuki, who had been standing idly by until then. Feldway ordered her to retrieve everyone, so she had used instantaneous movement to arrive at Orio's positional coordinates. However, Oreo hadn't been there, and she had stopped Vega's outburst by chance. Vega obeyed quietly. He had just gained a great deal of power and instinctively understood that he would not be able to absorb any more food. Thus, Kumara's crises ended, and the battle was over. Mai retrieved Vega, and went to the place where Arios was dying. His heart had been destroyed by Saoi, and Arios was doomed to defeat. However, Arios and the others who had become Imton would not die even without a heart. It was not blood that flowed through their veins, but rather mana, or divine power, that was the source of their strength. If they became skilled enough, they would be able to control the power at will. However, there was no doubt that being without a heart was a critical situation, because it prevented them from exerting any great power. In the case of Arios, the remnants of his human life had not yet been shed, and he was fatally weakened. If nothing was done, he would have been dealt a crushing blow, and would have died. Who are you? Saoi, who had jumped back as soon as he sensed the presence, spoke to Mai. It was Vega who answered. My name is Vega. You should remember this, and be grateful that I gave it to such small fry. Upon hearing this, Saoi wondered if his facade would slip away. In all honesty, Saoi was aware that he was prone to losing his temper. However, that was a demerit for a covert agent, so he had learned how to separate his head from his heart and turn his anger into energy. Normally, he would be angry, but would also smile coolly, and then calmly torture his enemies. This time, however, it seemed to be difficult to do so, because Saoi understood at first glance that Vega had become abnormally strong. This person is one of the leaders of Cerberus, Vega of Power. What happened in this short period of time that he became so different from the previous findings? In this world, it was possible for one's power to drastically increase to the extent that they became almost like a whole other person. Rimuru, Saoi and the others Lord had also experienced the aforementioned super enhancements such as, with his Demon Lord awakening, and the True Dragon conversion. Therefore, Saoi also had an understanding of such cases. However, that did not mean that he could so easily accept this. Saoi believed that it was necessary to answer the question of what had happened with Vega. But that opportunity was lost. Mai did not want to waste time talking, and had quickly withdrawn from the scene. That woman, appearing without any sign and disappearing without any warning, she may be a more troublesome opponent than Vega. Saoi muttered to himself. Khan nodded in agreement. That was probably a form of instantaneous movement. Whether it's magic or a skill, a preliminary step is required to cross through space. To be able to ignore that, and jump instantly from the spot without leaving any trace is something impossible even for the primordials. Although it is theoretically possible, it is a dreamlike feat that has yet to be achieved. As he walked up to Saoi, he gave his reasoning for what Mai had done. Despite his wounds, Khan's demeanor remained dignified. As a high-ranking demon of the demon realm, he continued to express his gratitude for Saoi's help. Oxine came over and thanked him along with Khan. There is need to thank me. I was merely following Rimuru-sama's orders. Even though the two men had thanked him, Saoi was not satisfied. For Saoi, allowing the enemy to escape was a huge loss. Besides, we failed to eliminate that Arios guy. Because of that, we now must assume that our information has been leaked to the enemy, and a harder battle will have to be fought the next time. We've achieved our tactical goal of survival, but I don't think we can be too happy about this. Well, Sao responded with his usual matter-of-fact manner. Khan and Oxien looked at each other. From their point of view, they were just grateful to have survived this moment. However, Sao could not afford that luxury, so it was natural for him to be wary of what might happen next. At any rate, just like their opponents, they had obtained information about the enemy. Based on this information, Sao thought it necessary to rethink his strategy for the future, and while reflecting on his failure, he changed his mindset. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.